Yo, what's up?
The current state of mobile gaming is upsetting, to say the least. The best games on the App Store are all 15 years old, and the worst ones happen to be the most popular ones. I get it though, mobile games are designed to be quick and simple time wasters, but one of the biggest issues is that these games have monetized themselves in such a predatory way that it ruins the experience. And it's been this way for a long time now. Let's look at an older game as an example. This game is called Dictator. It's kind of like Reigns, where you need to make decisions to appeal to the people within your community. It has ads, of course, every 30 seconds, and it offers a premium edition for bonus currency every day, as well as the ability to remove ads. Okay, so this is probably a small fee. I'm assuming probably $8? Nope. Guess again. Okay, maybe $10. Not even close. Okay, so how much does premium cost then? $26 a month. For reference, Reigns, which is infinitely more fleshed out, even though it's just political Tinder, cost me only $2. But why would I pay that when I could pay 13 times that a month so I can feel shitty about myself? This is the most egregious example I could find, but this kind of policy has infected a ton of mobile games over the past decade that it's become almost impossible to find a single game without this kind of monetization. With either painstakingly slow progression that practically begs you to pay for in-game currency, battle passes that cost just as much as an actually good game where your reward comes down to little apart from extra money and cosmetics, or games that will pretty much punish you by forcing you to watch several ads every level, whether you do good or not. But what if I told you there was a sanctuary, somewhere where you were protected from these evil business practices, where you could finally play these games in peace with no interruptions or developers begging you for your credit card information? Well, you need not look further than the site you are currently on. Yes, I am of course talking about YouTube Playables. Wait, that can't be right. You're telling me that YouTube has a system that isn't predatory to its users? I thought this was the bad timeline. Well, believe it or not, but probably not. I'll talk more about that later, but let's talk about the actual games first. Assuming you're not doing it already, on your phone, click on the compass icon that I know you love so much and scroll past all the gibberish on the side here, and all the way down here you'll find a tab called Playables. Unless you're on this channel, in which case it's at the top. I have no idea why they jumbled it around like this. These aren't games you need to download directly from the App Store, and are instead games that you play directly on YouTube. I can't remember exactly how I discovered this. I know that YouTube is trying their best to advertise these games now, which may or may not be negatively impacting site-wide viewership and channel revenue in general, but last year I can't even remember seeing any of these games pop up on my timeline. I'm pretty sure I was just doom scrolling on the homepage looking for Oh Brother, Where Art Thou full movie 2000 Punjabi free no ads, and just got recommended a solitaire game, so I ended up playing that for a bit, and now we're here. I've fiddled around with these games over the course of the past year, and I have some thoughts. For starters, pretty much every game on here is terrible, or at the very least 90% of them are. They almost all use the simple, expressionless, rounded character design, and the ones that don't use some other generic design like emojis or an unfiltered Unity 3D object. Very rarely is there a game that uses a genuinely unique art style, and on top of that, most of the games aren't even fun to begin with. You know those games that you keep getting ads for that don't actually exist? Well, it turns out they actually do exist, and they're just as bad as you would expect them to be. You've got the classics like connect the pipe with the water in it, walk into the blue good number, not the red bad number, pick the best of the three options, idle game where you walk from one part of the building to collect the money and spend it on one specific square in a different part of the building. They're all here. On top of being the most dull experiences in the world, the names of these games are also incredibly bland. They literally just describe what you do in the game, or just some generic game name generator title. Satisdom, Bazooka Boy, Color Page ASMR, Dessert DIY, Gym Stack, Snake Clash, Bubble Pop, City Smash, Stacky Dash, Hide and Seek, Tower Crash, Color Match, Nuts and Bolts, Sword Play, Solar Smash, Seed Away, Parking Rush, Flappy Dunk, Bowling, and Merge Cakes, Turbo Stars, Mini Mart, 8-Ball, Go Escape. There are some pretty funny translation issues both with the titles and within the games themselves. Mergist Kingdom, I don't know what that means. Mob Control just straight up has HTML5 in its title, and Bazooka Boy gave me the fantastic quote, "You are failed." Going game by game would mean that this video would be like 3 hours long, so instead of that, I want to split these games into different categories of games. A lot of these are what I call satisfaction slot. Basically, the only substance they have is the momentary dopamine hit you get from clearing a level. It could be a meter filling up or a cute jingle. Doesn't matter what happens so long as your brain tells you you did a good job. Like, look how easy it is to stimulate you guys. You guys are so easy to stimulate. Here, watch this. I can prove it to you. Oh, fuck, wait.
Thank you for being a friend.
The strangest part is the fact that there are, like, real games on here, like actual popular App Store releases. Jetpack Joyride is literally here in its entirety, same as Fruit Ninja, Cut the Rope, and Crossy Road, and recently they added Stick Fight Legacy. There's also some demos of full games like Bowmasters and Trivia Crack. These demos aren't full-fledged games, just boilerplate versions of them. They also kind of suck. For a lot of the full games, the graphics suffer from a noticeable downgrade in quality. They just look like a bit-crushed version of them, and on top of that, they just don't feel right to play. Jetpack Joyride has this slight but noticeable delay, and it just makes it feel inferior. On top of that, the collision detection feels off. Like, I got killed for walking under this spike, but the scientist can walk under it just fine. I think Trivia Crack is probably the best attempt at a demo here. Sure, it's not the full thing, but it's a simple enough high-score-based minigame that I can justify playing it for a couple minutes. Now, I wish the questions got progressively more difficult as the game goes on, instead of just picking a random question off the bat, but for what it's worth, it's not terrible. There's also those IO type games. You remember the old browser games like Agario.
Agario.
Would you believe me if I told you that they also suck? You're clearly up against bots. It's painfully obvious that you are playing against bots, but they want you to think that they are real people so badly. At least give me the ability to name myself fuck in these games. If you're gonna lock me in an empty room, at least take off my gag and let me scream whatever I want. I talked about those fake ad games earlier, and not only are these games terrible, but they are also ridiculously easy. I've probably messed up like once or twice, but most of the time you need to actively try to fail at these games. That is by design. All of these games operate on the business model of making their ads infuriatingly inept and essentially daring you by asking, oh, what, you think you can do better? With the answer always being, yeah. For that reason, these games all melt my brain. It's also really funny because you can tell with a lot of these games that there are supposed to be ads all over the place. Most of the time when you complete a mission, they give you the option to double your reward or spin a wheel to get additional coins or something, but because there are no ads, you just end up doubling your money for nothing. One time a game offered me the ability to watch an ad, but when I pushed the button, it said that ads were not supported in this version. This wood screw game is actually a perfect example of just how hollow these games actually are. Each level has 2 puzzles you need to solve, both an easy and a hard one. I used to have this game installed on my phone, and every time you would fail one of these levels, you would get an ad immediately after. The hard levels get way more specific with their solution, and as time goes on, you need to end up failing over and over and over again until you actually found the correct solution, which meant you would watch like 30 ads before you completed a single level. Here, however, there are no ads, but instead you see just how bland the game design is. It should be a Zen puzzle game, but the later levels just feel frustrating more than anything else. So no, I don't feel satisfied when I finish any of these levels. Instead, I'm just pissed that I wasted all of my time trying to beat this level only to be rewarded with another bullshit level. But I know why you guys are here. You don't care about any of these fake-ass games with all of these design flaws. You came to hear what I have to say about the classic board game, the one and only Ludo. It kinda sucks. Alright, fine, I guess I'll talk about it a little bit more. Even though this game is a massive waste of time and the antithesis of fun, I could not stop playing it for the life of me. This game is literally just tapping a screen to roll a die. It's just a stupid little addictive time waster that I despise with all my heart. I also have a suspicion that the game is rigged. Almost every time it's possible for the bots to kill you, they do. Some bots get to kill multiple people in a row and cover half the board while you keep waiting for your turn and remain unable to do anything. Sometimes you'll painfully inch your way across the board, and other times you'll get the most broken play I've ever seen in my life. This game is very dumb and bad, and I hate it, and I think it should be arrested. You might say, yeah, that's like a board game, but with a board game, there's physical feedback showing you what you rolled. There's no way you'd naturally be able to rig a game like this. With a mobile game, it's possible for developers to rig the odds just to piss you off. But Tyson, you may be asking me, why are you focusing so heavily on a Ludo game that you seem to hate so much? Well, first off, I'd laugh at you because that isn't my real name. In fact, it's not even close. Second of all, the reason I'm focusing so much on Ludo is because there are 3 different versions of this game. The one that I've been talking about is called Ludo King, but the other 2 are Ludo Club and Ludo Kart. Ludo Karts is basically the same thing, but longer and with power-ups. Ludo Club, however, is an online version of Ludo King that isn't online at all. You can choose to play either 2 or 4-player games, and when you boot the game up, it will give you just an arbitrary value of players that can range from 3,000 online players to 9,000 players within seconds of each other. Sometimes it will even give you an odd number of players, which isn't possible with the system of play that they have created. On top of that, you're just playing with bots again, with random locations and names, none of which correlate with one another, like Vijay Kumar and Anita Nayak, both of whom are from
Ukraine.
You know how I can tell these aren't real people? Because I have enough of an on-again, off-again relationship with Clash Royale to know that if you give anybody the ability to spam an emote button, they are going to spam the shit out of that emote button. And these bots are just silent. Their moves are also way too consistent in their timing. They will never time out a turn. They will make their move at the exact same millisecond every single time. This whole paragraph might seem like a massive waste of time to you, but the third and most important reason why I'm talking about Ludo is because I think it exposes a lot about how the playable system works. Ludo King is essentially a demo version of a full game that is available on the App Store that a lot of people seem to hate, with a ton of negative reviews agreeing with me that the game is rigged, and seeing as how they charge real money for in-game currency and the ability to use voice chat, I guess, maybe you can see why they would set it up this way. I think the demo system is how YouTube wants the playables to work, and honestly, it's not a bad idea on paper. Publish a demo on here, provide an affiliate link for people to check out the full game on the App Store. But that's not how it's set up. I had to actively look this game up on the App Store in order to find out that that's what this was supposed to be. So as a demo, this is just poorly designed on YouTube's part. But the most interesting thing is inside Ludo Club. As soon as I opened the game, YouTube gave me a disclaimer that my data was being used by a third party in order for it to work properly. Now this makes sense in some regard. Obviously, online games need to use at least some of your online information in order for you to be able to play them, but as I've already established, this game isn't online. It does have a friend play option, but I would never in a million years ask my friends to play Ludo Club with me. And considering the large amount of games on here that also claim to be online, there's a chance that they are also using some of my data while pretending that they are online. Ludo Club was just the only one to give me a disclaimer beforehand. Now, this is all speculation. I don't have any solid proof that this is how these games work, and there is a privacy policy inside of Ludo Club that says that your data isn't providing any personally identifiable information to advertisers. But, seeing as how this privacy policy hasn't been updated in 12 fucking years, it's safe to say that I have my doubts about this. I want to enjoy these games, I really do, but it's just such an untrustworthy system that I can't help but feel skeptical towards it. The only reasons you would play these are because there's no ads and the fact that you can play them while watching a video on the side. But even then, that doesn't make these games automatically fun. Like, if you're gonna sell my data, at the very least make your game enjoyable to play. I certainly hope that these companies aren't profiting off of my personal data, considering I've been playing these games well before I decided to make a video about them, and well after I told myself that it was dangerous for me to do so. And if they are selling my data, then I want to ask them to please stop and let me sell my own data. If anyone's going to profit off of it, it's going to be me and me alone. Since I initially wrote this, YouTube has started rolling out tools for people to make their own games with no coding experience. Oh, so like how Construct uses a simple drag and drop system that anyone can use to make a genuinely cool and innovative game? No, they want you to use Gemini to quote-unquote vibe code it, which just means that you're telling an AI to make a game until it eventually only kind of works. I think they're also letting people upload games they actually created with entirely original assets and code, but even if that is the case, that only means that for every one game that is made by a real person, there's going to be 15,000 games made by a shit-ass company with a bot. I was worried that YouTube rolling this out would recontextualize this video, but it doesn't. These games already suck. This is only going to make them suck even more. But even though a metric ton of these games are pure trash, I gotta admit that there are some genuinely fun games on here. Tomb of the Mask is a classic game that I remember playing a lot when it came out, but stopped because of all of the ads. But here, it's just a consistent experience, even if the energy system that makes you wait 30 minutes for a single life to recharge is kind of ridiculous. I've been playing a lot of this matching game. It's exactly what a mobile game should be: quick, addictive fun with next to no interruptions, even though this timer can sometimes get really stressful for no reason. Daily Solitaire is great. You have a new solitaire game you have to solve every single day. I actually did end up playing this every day last year from December of 2023 up until March of 2024. I just don't play the blue version of this game. It has an easy mode that just breaks the game and makes it much less fun. There are a few games on here that I have been playing that I do enjoy, but like I said, 90% of them are terrible. Nowadays, companies try to sell you on the fact that their game has no ads. No ads. Kingshot has no ads. As if that just automatically makes their game good. But the actual well-crafted and fun mobile games out there are more complicated than what most people would have you believe. They take a simple idea and make it more enjoyable. They give you variation and creativity in a sea of mid. They provide you with a fun concept that can stimulate you for a few minutes or a few hours at a time. The bad games may outweigh the good, but that doesn't mean that there isn't good out there. You just need to know where to look for it. And my ultimate recommendation for you is that you download Balatro. I'm telling you guys, I'm not addicted. I can stop whenever I want. It's really fun, but I can stop whenever I want. I'm not going to, but I can, and it's all my choice. I know how to pronounce it, and I can stop whenever I want. I'm perfectly fine. There's no problem. I can stop whenever I want.
Michael, you can't beat your wife.
Of course I can. I have over 5 million